Rev TV brings the world of motorsports into your home with over 100 live race series such as MotoGP, IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship, Extreme E, World Superbike, and the newly launched all-electric E1 series. From 2 wheels to 4, from land to sea, your destination is Rev TV.
So we've got a couple of comparisons that we over the years, and we often use that as the original, and it's always fun to look at the graph. So it's funny because I mean, at the time, I remember thinking going together and running, and just the awesome. It's like, wow, this is what it's like to drive in Indianapolis for a big now. But whoa, it's just fun to look at this.
You were around from back in the days of iRacing and the creation of iRacing, the creation of the concept of the product and the growth from then until now.
Yeah, it's a great problem. It depends on how deep you want to go. It's crazy to think that it really started in 2002.
Give yourself a better opportunity in turn one versus just going in a roller bar. If you have to allow the tires to get the temperature before they have accidents, stop. Practicing your start was crazy tough. Practice backing up with a brake for that first couple laps until you get to the practice tough. Give yourself a better opportunity in turn one versus just going in a rolling ball. You have to allow the tires to get the temperature before they have accidents. Stop. Practicing your start was crazy tough. Practice backing up with a brake for that first couple laps until you get to the practice tough.
Yeah, there's so much detail and story. Like I didn't want to start going too deep into it all. I just wanted we wouldn't have got past 2007.
No, I think that was great. That was great. That's a cool perspective. It's relevant to what we're doing now. Your time is we
Well, Bump Day qualifying continues to roll on through, and what an afternoon it is getting set to be as we get set to see who is going to be the final 9 cars that make up the remainder of the 8th annual Pavement Recycling Systems Indianapolis 500. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Green Flag TV. My name is Ola Rempel, and I am bringing you all of racing action here this afternoon from the final round of qualifying before things kick off in earnest here in just 1 week's time for 500 miles, 200 laps worth of racing. It's going to be a bit of an interesting day here this afternoon as all drivers are currently looking to make several different hits today. Barnikel currently on track after he actually found himself going into the outside wall on his initial secondary run here this afternoon. And of course, whenever you get bits about Indianapolis Motor Speedway, boy, it bites hard. And Barnikel had to find that out the hard way with this hard shot into the outside wall in turn number 3. Just slipped up a little bit too wide and careened straight into the fence, pushing a little bit too hard. But hey, that's what you got to do for Bump Day qualifying when you get so many of these different drivers, all of them out here trying to see who can fight their way into the final 9 spots on the boards. Kind of taking a rundown of the top 24 so far. From the Fast 9 shootout, Henry Bender remains on pole, Andrew Wood in second, Tomas Mustanen in third, then it's Logan Simmons, Matthias Strauss, Ethan Aiken, Guerra Jr., Sebastian Kinner, Robert Groscher for the top 9. And then, of course, for the rest of pole day, it's Cameron Dans, Florian Gao, Johnny Garrett, Jan Hoffman, Bobby Love, Randy Shoemaker, Luke Slaville, Lucas Santos, Franz Josef Sturm, Jamie Wilson, Roden Eveting, Zachary Wareham, VJO, Julian Altena, and Andrea Giacometti. So that then leaves us here with Bump Day qualifying. Right now, it's Eckert, Stanley, Lovegren, Aitken, Law, Molnar, McCrelly, Woodall, and Pitkin. But of course, you can see Robert Barnikel out there on the racetrack. He is trying to punch his ticket in. We officially have more drivers that have attempted to qualify than there are spots on the grid. So here is where the bumping commences, and this is the drama of Bump Day. Figuring out who is going to be bumped where, who is going to be punched in, who is going to be watching this one from the sidelines. Right now, the average speed to beat to make your way in is 221.001 miles an hour. And with Barnikel putting down some of his fastest laps of this Bump Day session so far, it's looking like it's going to be a pretty safe in hands one for Barnikel to punch his ticket into the Fast 9 for now. 11 cars in total have set times, as other drivers are more just watching on from the sidelines here today. And it's going to be a 224.365 mile an hour run. So Barnikel easily going to be making it into the show. And in fact, he's going to be qualified right now, 26. So the way you can figure this out, right, it's the top 9 from today's session that make it in. So if you're 9th on up on that timing board on the left-hand side of the screen, you're into the show. Right now, Barnikel, 2nd on the day, and that would put him, again, 26 in the middle of, I believe that would be row number 8. Row number 8 on the boards. Meanwhile, Andrew Aitken now getting set to make his run. Oh, and he nearly came off the wall a little bit there as he fires to the front straightaway. Andrew Aitken was qualified 5th on the boards today, and he has just reset the fastest lap of the day as well, a 40.010. Still have not broken into the 39-second bracket, but considering how, just like on pole day, this track is only been getting faster and faster and faster, I feel like we're going to be seeing that fastest lap time reset a number of times as drivers vie for that 25th starting spot. Aitken, of course, coming in here, making his 7th attempt at an Indy 500 start on what would be a big effort for him. The highest he's qualified was twin second-place runs in 2023 and 2020. However, he has not yet finished inside the top 10 of an Indy 500. He started in the top 5 thrice, but his highest finish so far, a 12th place run. And of course, he was one of many drivers that crashed out of last year's rendition of the 500, and he crashed out early, finishing all the way back in 29th. With Aiken having to fight this one out on bump day, I know his Indy 500 month is not off to a stellar start, but hey, he's putting down the times as we've just got our first 39-second times of the day. It was a 9:49 for lap 1, a 9:90 for lap 2, or lap 3, sorry. So Aitken going to come back around. .156 for Andrew Aitken on his final lap. So that fourth lap being slowed down significantly. But that speed puts him at 224.852, absolutely blitzing his way to the top of the speed charts. That could be a tough time to beat, at least over the next half hour or so. Matthias Ezekiel Marcamini now, the next car out to party. Marcamini right now qualified nowhere. His last run was, of course, invalidated, so he is just trying to get on the boards today. Oh, catching the wall just a tick there with the right rear. I think he got away with it, though. We've seen a lot of drivers really struggling for control out there. His first lap going to be a 40.399, his quickest time of the session so far. Well, there you can see some of that weather over on the left-hand side, right? 99 degrees Fahrenheit on the track, but it's going to be the wind that's a big talking point. 12 miles an hour of southwestward winds. That is that's a fierce gust to contend with when you're driving these cars. We're talking well over 370 kilometers an hour at their peak down these straightaways and entering these corners. A lot of humidity in the air, 83% humidity with what is now a 100-degree track temp, but it's not slowing down Marcamini. He goes quicker again, 40.247 this time by for Ezekiel. Matt Molnar, the next driver on deck. The Canadian has been a driver to have quite a bit of success in the Indianapolis 500. Of course, not so much in the Classic IndyCar Series, but we'll talk about him more in a moment. 40.347 for Marcamini. And that closes out lap 3. To the start-finish line for his fourth and final lap. It's a 40.399, 223.059 miles an hour. And that will put Matthias Ezekiel Marcamini 7th place on the boards for IRR Argentina. But very much not safe and in the drop zone. The Canadian Matt Molnar, the next driver to take to the racetrack here today. Molnar trying to qualify in for what would be his 4th Indy 500, has never started higher than 20th, and he started 29th and 30th in the last 2 attempts. His highest finishing attempt came from last year's race, finishing 17th, making up a respectable 12 places. And that was even when he had some problems, and he ended up finishing one lap down to boot. Well, Molnar's putting down the heaters as he goes 40.164, his quickest lap so far of the afternoon, and he's into the wall, and that is going to spell a quick end to Molnar's next qualifying attempt, and he's going to have to reset and try that one again. He's going to cut across the grass to get into pit road. And that's the challenge of bump day, right? You sometimes push so hard that you end up finding yourself on the outside looking in. Now Molnar doesn't have a time on the boards at all. He was qualified 8th. Not safe by any stretch of the means, but it's gone from bad to worse because now he's got to try to just requalify in general. Next driver on deck would be Lewis Woodall, but Woodall not in the car. Clearly was not ready to go, and while I can't say I blame him because, well, Molnar hit the wall on just his second lap. So this might be moved down to Christian McCrelly. And then, of course, Hans Pikkinen after him, followed by Alal and then Stanley. Evidently, Marshall Stanley not happy with where he sits right now, 4th place on the speed charts. Lewis Woodall, the next driver up, one of 4 drivers that took some really big hits in pole day qualifying, and he took arguably one of the more wild of the 4. Clipped the outside wall exiting turn 1 and proceeded to spear down and slam right into the inside wall and fired right back across the outside wall at turn 2. Similar to so many Indy 500 crashes that we've seen over the years. And, well, now Lewis Woodall making his way out. But the problem is Christian McCrelly got there first. Woodall missed the call. So with Woodall missing his effort, he will stand, of course, on his initial run that currently sees him sitting, well, it's not good. He's sitting in 9th. McCrelly sitting 8th right now. 221.648 miles an hour is what he's got to beat. The next car off the road is in the 23s, a 223.059, and that would willing to bet that with all the quicker times that we're seeing coming in, McCrelly's going to be able to make that happen. Christian McCrelly has never made the Indy 500 in Classic IndyCar Series competition. He is, I believe, making his debut. Of course, he is, one of the many rookies that was running all throughout 2025 for the main Classic IndyCar Series season. And making his Classic IndyCar Series debut here this afternoon. McCrelly's first lap, 40.467. He does improve, but not by much. Even down the straight, that car does not look entirely stable. Really flirting with that outside wall entering turn 3 and trying to get the absolute most out of that beast that he possibly can. Got to be careful with getting too close to that wall, though. You get too close, it'll end up sucking you in big time. Oh, he's going to clip the curb in on the inside. Tracks up wide, although he's able to keep it out of the wall. That's going to scrub off a little bit of speed, though. And another twitch coming off of 2. McCrelly off of 4. Lap 2. 40.463. Critically right now, he's running 0.2 quicker so far. So could be looking to have a good one here. And it's a 40.416 for McCrelly at the line. And that provisionally will put him with a 222.641 mile an hour run. So he is not going to improve on his overall positioning. Hans Pikkinen, the next one up. Now, Pikkinen, of course, another driver that's had a checkered history with the Classic IndyCar Series 500, and he is one of only 3 drivers who is going to be making his 8th attempt at the Indy 500, and he has made every Indy 500 in this league's extensive history. Of course, Pikkinen was not running much throughout this season today. Last year's 500, he finished 27th, started 28th, one of many cars to crash out of the race. So far, in fact, his highest finish position, 14th, and that came from his very first attempt on May 13th, 2017. .508 to a 4.51. Lap number 3, another 40.5. That's a 5.54 this time out. And Pikkinen coming back down in the round to the start-finish line, this time by and at the stripe for lap number 4. You're going to be looking in at a 40.615. So the car slows a little bit further, and Pikkinen will remain 9th. 222.047 miles an hour, a good 0.6 off of Christian McCrelly up in 8th. And over a whole mile an hour of average speed off of Matthias Ezekiel Marcamini. There is Lewis Woodall, a driver that crashed last week on pole day. Was not able to get much of a run going, had to make his way around to bump day here. And now making his next attempt. Yeah, get a little bit close with that outside wall. .546 for Lewis Woodall to kick off his next run of the qualifying effort. As it stands, Lewis Woodall, the final car in the queue for qualifying. No one else has registered for a rerun. I think quite a few drivers are just kind of looking at the weather, seeing how things are going to evolve over the course of this 3-hour session. We are nearing the halfway point of that session, so still have an hour and 41 and a half minutes to go before bump take qualifying, draws to a close. Woodall, new quick lap for him. 40.379, almost a full 0.2 of a second quicker than the opening lap of his qualifying bid. So Lewis Woodall looking like he's ready to put down the hammer and make some runs. And Amon Lal from Velocity Online Racing has just registered for another run. Lal currently situated 6th. And I'm sure other drivers are looking to see if Lewis Woodall is going to be able to bump any one of them out. And at the moment, I don't know. Hans Picken is not looking secure. 40.266. He improves again. And yeah, I think Hans Picken is in trouble here. And that 222.047 is not going to be enough to remain in the top 9 of qualifying today. Lewis Woodall making his 5th attempt, or at least going to try and make his 5th attempt at an Indy 500. So far, his best attempt, 18th place from 2 years ago. He was one of the first cars out involved in a lap 1 crash, and he's had a problem. Lewis Woodall looking like he's going to overshoot the pit entry mark. Amon Lal takes to the racetrack, making his Classic IndyCar Series debut. This is Woodall. Yeah, just a little bit too wide through there. Slips up, but no harm, no foul. Might scatter some grass, though, in turn 3. Got to be careful of that. And more runs being requested for Pitkinen, Markamini, and Woodall. So, looking like it's going to be a bit of a rotation here for that bottom spot for the time being. And Amon Lal immediately puts down his quickest run, or at least his quickest time of the day, when a 2.65 follows it up with a 1.60 in the 42nd bracket. Looking for lap 3. .211 for lap number 3, and now going to be looking around for lap 4. Coming off the rip down to the start-finish line. Hans Pikkinen already on the racetrack. 40.243. And where does this put Amon Lal? He's going to slot 5th. 223.771 miles an hour, the average speed. That'll put him 5th place so far on today's charts. Bumping Hans Pikkinen out, and I think Pikkinen knew right away he was not safe. And so he is back out for another attempt. Right now holding the slowest overall time of the day as well, by the way, at 40.451, the slowest single lap time out of any car that has been on track. Coming around for lap 1. A 40.474 for Hans Pikkinen, and tell you what, Hans needs to really find some extra speed in the car somewhere, because right now, he does not have it. Oh, and he's hard into the outside wall in turn 2. And just like pole day last year, Hans Pikkinen put down and out. Take another look and right on board. Flipped that curb on the entry, went way too low, and got up into the marbles and immediately broke the right side wishbone. And that will do it. Bring Matthias Ezekiel Marcomini back out onto the racetrack. As Marcomini coming around, about to start his opening lap. Oh, and again, another strike to that outside wall in 4. Still able to gather things up, though. And well, that car's still charged, so I think, again, he managed to get away. Marcomini, first lap was a 4:19. Lap 2, a 4:20. His quickest time of the day is the 2:47, but that was set on his last run up. There we go. That's more like it. 40.081. That is the 4th quickest time of the session so far. And sorry, it's an 081. For his second lap. So Marcomini on a bit of a flyer here. Coming around turn 4. For lap 3. You got yourself a 40.054, quicker again, and this time it's the third quickest single lap of the afternoon. Marcomini has found something in the car, and well, you can see the cloud cover that has rolled over the racetrack, and that drops the track temp from a whopping 100 degrees all the way down to just 91. So the weather of this racetrack very much playing a factor in a hot track right now. Lewis Woodall, the next one up, and again, Marcomini quicker, a 40.019. That is the second quickest single lap time of the day. Lewis Woodall, the next one up. And that valiant effort for Marcomini puts him fourth on the speed charts with 224.197 miles an hour, the fourth driver of the day to break into the 224 mile an hour bracket. Fifth on back, still 223 miles an hour or slower. Lewis Woodall comes up next. Woodall currently qualified 8th. And he wants to go for another run. But a catch of the outside wall in two. You heard the crunch. But he's not pulling the pit road, so he got away with one. Drivers pushing these cars to the absolute brink. 40.154 for Lewis Woodall, fifth quickest time of the day and his quickest run of the session so far. That is, of course, following up from a 190 that he put down just a little while ago as well. Oh, but he catches the wall in turn 3. And that should do it. And yeah, he's going to come to pit road. So Lewis Woodall is going to need another attempt as he caught that wall big in turn numbers 3 and 4, right in the short chute. And is this another case of didn't catch the curb, but he caught the marbles and slid up into the outside wall. So Hans Pitkänen takes to the track. Woodall's got to be getting frustrated. That's 2 runs in a row that car has caught the wall and has had a run invalidated. So I know Woodall is feeling frustrated, feeling the pressure. Been a while since we've seen Aiken or Eckert on the racetrack. Obviously, they are not too concerned as things run. They're more just kind of monitoring the situation out there. Well, Pitkänen looking quick here. Comes down the front straightaway. Could be his quickest lap of the day, and it is. 40.383 finally gets him off the bottom step for the lap time charts on a single run. So Pitkänen may have found something in that number 8. Lap 2, 40.302, quicker still. But he's got to find almost a tenth of a second if he wants to overtake Kevin Lovegren for 9th place on the overall speed charts today. Ah, but he's coming to pit road. I think he may have dinged the wall. He's just going to pull it to a stop on the back straightaway and take the tow. Amon Lal coming back up for another run. Lal currently qualified 6th and evidently not happy with it. Lal's first lap back, a 40.260. That's a tenth of a second slower than his quickest lap of the day. .172, that's only 200ths off of his quickest lap of the day. Still trying to improve. So Lal making his way around to the front straightaway once more. Marshall Stanley has just taken his next run as he has just gone onto the racetrack. Cars been getting quick over the course of the run. It started with a 260, then a 172, then a 149. Closes it off with a 180 for 223.935 miles an hour. And Lovegren remains in 7th. And in fact, Amon Lal does jump up to 5th, so he surpasses Marshall Stanley. But Stanley could be eager to look to take that spot right back as he now heads down the backstretch. So a pretty big qualifying battle for 5th going on now. First lap on the afternoon for Marshall Stanley's next qualifying attempt. Going to be a 40.423. And Stanley just looking for some extra insurance here. On bump day qualifying, getting a little bit close to the edge. Wants to make sure he is secure in. 218 for his next time. At this point, we are over halfway through the bump day session, and all the drivers that were scheduled to make runs have taken them. It is only reruns from here to the end. And an intense little while it's going to be for sure. As Stanley comes off of turn 4. Is here for lap 3 at the line. And it's 40.167. Not bad. So far, all 3 laps have been quicker. Oh, sorry, one of his laps have been quicker than his prior run. So 40.167 for lap number 3, and now looking for lap 4. And lap 4, 40.188. That's going to be a good, solid run for Stanley. Waiting for the time to come down, and then Matt Molnar. Going to be the next car up for Marshall Stanley. It is only good enough for 7th place, 223.608 miles an hour. The only driver that's on the boards now that has not gotten into the 223 bracket, Christian McCrelly. Molnar coming around 4, putting down his first. Oh, he's into the wall hard! And Molnar will be forced to come to pit road. He's going to miss the pit attenuator on the way in, thank goodness. A big crunch from Molnar into the outside wall. That's, I think, one of the biggest hits that we have seen all day. Well, that was obviously as it happened. This is going to be on board. Off of 4. And you hear him lift out of the throttle. He knew right away the run was toast, but wasn't enough to keep it out of the fence. Thought moment he might nose it into the pit attenuator there. He did keep it off of the attenuator. And the report coming in, potentially a screen locking up from Molnar. It's been quite a wild ride of the SRA Super Speedway Blitz last night here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. We had one truck actually go driver's door first into that attenuator about 130 miles an hour after he got spun on the front straightaway. And also on the front straightaway, later on to the same night, Rick English got turned sideways, flipped over top of 2 drivers and went barrel rolling down the front straightaway. Nearly flipped completely into pit road. So it's been a bit of a wild week for Indianapolis so far. And a lot of leagues coming out here over the next little while. I know the Zero Torque Racing League going to be out. The Zero Torque Racing League going to be out here as well at the Brickyard next Friday night as a prelude to the Indy 500. And I'm sure we are in for quite a bit more wild rides there. we wait to see who the next driver up will be. It was supposed to be Lewis Woodall, followed by Pitkanen and then Stanley. But neither one of those drivers are currently out on the racetrack. So we're going to jump back for just a quick second. And when we return, we'll be more bump day qualifying here on Green Flag TV. Stay with us.
Rev TV brings the world of motorsports into your home with over 100 live race series such as MotoGP, IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship, Extreme E, World Superbike, and the newly launched all-electric E1 series. From 2 wheels to 4, from land to sea, your destination is Rev TV.
Welcome back to Green Flag TV. Qualifying has resumed after a hard crash into the turn 4 wall, courtesy of Matt Molnar. Hans Pitkanen has taken to the racetrack next, as we will once again get bump day qualifying underway. First lap in on the cards for Pitkanen. Will be coming on up this time by at the line, as Lewis Woodall was, of course, bypassed. So the Usagi Racing driver, seeing what he's got on the cards. 40.445 for his first. So it was a 4.44 for Pitkanen's first lap. His second attempt, a 4.11. Of course, Pitkanen having caught the wall in his latest qualifying attempt as well. And Pitkanen, 40.399. But we're still looking at a good 10th of a second off of his quickest time of the day. And he's hard into the fence again. Back end finally snapped, and jeez Louise. Well, I was mentioning Molnar had the hardest hit of the day. That takes the cake, though. That was definitely the biggest tank slapper we've had so far. And Pickett's bump day goes from bad to worse, but that heavy hit right into the concrete as well, completely missing the safer barriers. Back end just came around and there was no recovering it. Golly. Talk about smoking that wall. Well, that brings Marshall Stanley back up to the hitch. Marshall Stanley trying to make a good, solid effort here. And as he battles his way, coming around turn numbers 3 and 4 this time by. Well, Stanley having himself with a pretty good, solid effort here. He got a 40.250 on his first run, a 188 for his second. But the problem is he still has not been able to set his quick time of the race. But he's going to keep working on it. I'm sure he's got something cooking up just a little ways down the line. And as you may have just heard, coverage is getting set to kick on off for the Precision Automobile Club Esports over at Oulton Park. Qualifying currently underway for their season opener. Toyota GR86's Hamburgos and Finicini both on the call over on Friday afternoon. And then closing out, Marshall Stanley's qualifying effort. He's going to go 223.830 miles an hour. Good enough for 6th so far today. And Molnar back to the track after tanking the outside wall out of turn 4, trying to go at it again. So Molnar really flirted with that outside wall, clearly not concerned. As he got up and near that outside fence of 40.143, and already he has gone quicker than his runs over in pole day. And now we see Molnar getting on the chip all the way down the straight over Iconic Motorsports, down in the turn numbers 3 and 4. So close to that outside fence. .087, close to punching his ticket into the 39s. Only one driver so far has done that today, and it has been Andrew Aitken. Molnar continuing to get faster and faster down these straights. Molnar clears his way down the stretch. How about a 40.089 for Molnar that time by? A fantastic drive for that 29 entry. Only 2,000 off of his quickest run of the day, and now looking for lap number 4. Does he have an answer for the top 5? Again, flirts with that outside wall. Gets a little close. But he's going to make it in. A 40.082. Once again, resets his PB of the day. The last 3 laps within 0.07 of a second of each other. 224 miles an hour. Matt Molnar, 3rd place on the day on the speed charts. Right now in the same row with his teammate, Adam Eckert. And guess who? It's Lewis Woodall back for more. But starts off his qualifying run with a bit of a check into the outside wall. He's going to keep running it out, though. 40.369 for Woodall. So we may not have gotten an incident point from him, but he definitely lost some time. Just over an hour remaining here in qualifying as Lewis Woodall coming around into turn numbers 3 and 4 to the start-finish line. 40.205. Half a tenth off of his quickest lap today. So a 369 to a 205. So good improvement on that second lap, but that first lap could very well come back to bite him because, of course, you take the 4-lap average speed, not the speed on that final lap. .266, still slower than his quickest lap of the day. Woodall charging for everything he's got in turn 2. Trying to make something happen down the backstretch. .284 for Lewis Woodall's final run. That goes 223.430, and that is only good enough for 9th place, bumping Christian McCrelly out. And Hans Pitkanen back to the racetrack, and Pickenen has had a abysmal bump day so far. Has struck the wall twice, crashed on the third attempt. And just when the car finally starts to find some pace, the back end came around on him coming out of turn 2 the last time through. He went nose first into the concrete wall. 40.162, significantly quicker than his last fastest hit. Hans Pickenen coming down the straight and into turn 3. Does Pickenen have an answer to get back up into the top 9? How about that? 40.047, the 4th quickest overall lap of the day. Pickenen has finally found it. Took quite a bit of trial and error, but at long last, he is going to be able to try and have an answer for the head of this field. Through 3. Through 4. And Pickenen, his 3rd lap. 40.081. Still fast. And Lewis Woodall's time looking like, unless something happens on this 4th lap here, Lewis Woodall is absolutely getting bumped out, and Lovegren will find his way into the into that critical bump spot down in 9th. Pickenen around 4. .176. Where does that? We know he's in. It's just a matter of where. It's 5th place for Pickenen and Usagi Racing. Well, Amal Lal can see the track getting a bit more racy, so he's going to make his way back out to take a hit. That track temp, though, starting to rise as the sun comes back out, up to 96 degrees Fahrenheit once more. So we once again find ourselves now in a bit of a bind as to, well, how is this one going to pan out? Because that track, if it gets much hotter, these guys are going to be slipping for grip. Amal Lal, lap number 1 on the cards. 40.240 for the driver of the number 30. So Lal coming back around into turn 4. .169 once again for Lal. So he is getting quicker. Almost gets the wall though in the exit of 1. Through 4. And for lap number 3, Christian McCrelly fires in a heater at 40.212. So far, Amon Lal kind of averaging out similar to his last run. Not showing too much improvement. And to the start-finish line for Lal, 40.488. Although it's not going to count. He caught the wall. And that is game over for Amon Lal's efforts at qualifying. He's going to have to try and put it in again. Tough effort. And he'll open up the door for Christian McCrelly to try and pounce. McCrelly, so far, the driver with the slowest overall time on the boards, 40.406 for the one-lap pace. That said, last time we saw McCrelly up was over an hour ago, and the track was very, very different. McCrelly's times were no higher than a 40.406. Oh, but a 40.7 for lap number 1. And he's just struck the wall, so McCrelly's going to be forced to the pit road. And the bump day dramas continue as Kevin Lovegren, only one driver in the 40.2 second bracket. That is Lovegren. 10th quickest time on the boards. And similar to other drivers, we have not seen Lovegren out, or Kevin Lovegren out, for some time. Last saw him up as the 19th run on the day, about an hour and 15 minutes ago. So Lovegren begins his first lap of his next attempt. Under an hour to go in qualifying for the 8th annual Paved Recycling Systems Indianapolis 500. Well, it's a good opener. 40.252. His opening lap on attempt 1 was a 2:90. So if he can just keep up that pace, he should see an improvement potentially into the top 9. And Lovegren, 40.163, new quickest time on the day for Lovegren. 9th quickest time overall, but that shows, again, that car has some more pace underneath them. And Lovegren, quicker still, a 1:44 for lap 3. Caven is really pushing that 0.6 to its absolute limits. Trying to see, can he get a run going? So lap number 4. For Caven Lovegren, Aman Lal on deck and already on the racetrack. 40.191 for Lovegren. That puts him 7th with 223.924 miles an hour. Aman Lal, the next driver up. .207 for Lal, still slower than his quickest time of the day. Aman Lal last time by struck the outside wall on his 4th and final lap. And trying to see if maybe he can finally get that time of the boards where he needs to make his way into the Indianapolis 500. Lap number 2. 40.071, and he has just reset his personal best single lap of the day. A lap that would put him 6th place in traditional qualifying charts. So Lal on the move. Looking to break into the .05 range, but still 0.02 of a second off of it. Lal out of 4. End of lap 3, 40.080. So he does go slower, but not by much, and that car is flying. From 2, this is where he caught the wall last time out. He holds on to it this time. And down into 3. And 4. Lal keeps it out of the fence. And to the start-finish line. Another 0.84 for Aman Lal. And that will push Lal right up to 4th on the grid. 224.396 miles an hour. Good effort. And up next, Christian McCrelly. Side slapped the wall out of turn 2 on just his opening lap. Now, the North Sim Racing driver has had his fair share of difficulties today, and he is just hoping for something here. 40.138 for the first lap out. It's an 084 again for McCrelly, this time by. So Christian McCrelly resetting his PB on the day twice over now. Sitting 8th on the overall single lap charts. .043 resets his personal best again, and that puts him 4th quickest on a single lap pace of anybody today. And to the line, it's a 40.048. That's a good, solid run for Christian McCrelly. How about second on the boards today? 224.561 miles an hour. Absolutely stellar drive from McCrelly, and finally punches that car into the top 9. And all of a sudden, Marshall Stanley, a driver and a veteran to the Classic IndyCar Series, looking on the outside in, and he is desperate to get a good run in here. Stanley right now making his way into turn number 3. Already on his second lap. Lap 1 was a 40.101. And it is 4th overall for his quickest time with an 037. On a single lap run. For lap 3. 40.046. On deck is Andrew Aitken. A driver that we've not seen up from his opening attempt on the day, as Stanley almost gets the outside wall. And for his 4th and final lap, Marshall Stanley will come across the line and go 40.021, 3rd quickest single lap of the day, and that puts him to second, 224.712 miles an hour. Andrew Aitken now making it to the racetrack. Aitken so far the only driver that was able to put down a 39-second time all afternoon, and he's seen this track getting closer. He's been monitoring this situation very closely. And I think he's decided, you know what? I might not be as safe as I thought it was. Best to go out and get some insurance. But he's got to be careful here, because this could go either way for him. If this goes sideways, Aitken very easily finds himself without a time at all and then in a critical position with under 45 minutes to go on bump day. Aitken, round 2. Lap 1 on the day, 39.959. 1/100th of a second off of his personal best lap so far. Out of 2. For the end of his second lap. A 39.908, new quickest time of the session. Showing that that car's got some more speed. And he says, you want to threaten my lead? Think again. Still careening around turn numbers 3 and 4. And he resets the fastest lap again with a 39.864 this time by. So Andrew Aitken continuing to fire in heater after heater. We could very well be looking at the first 225-mile-an-hour run of the afternoon. End of lap 4. Every single lap will stand on 39 seconds. He's obviously going to be to the number 1 spot, no doubt about it. 225.475 miles an hour. And I tell you what, had he been around on pole day, that run could have put him into 3rd place overall on the grid. Of course, this track much quicker than pole day was, as a lot of the drivers outside of the Fast Time Shootout weren't even able to get to the 224-mile-an-hour bracket. But it's making this for quite an interesting one. And Hans Pitkanen is on a move as he has just fired in a 39.9-second run after 40.015. Pitkanen, after struggling so much earlier today on bump day, has found a second wind underneath him. Pitkanen, 39.983, looking to threaten Andrew Aitken's pole time here, or pole run. At least what would put him 25th place on the overall grid for the 500. Pitkanen working his final trip around. Andrew Aiken, by the way, not content. He wants to take another swing at it. Hans Pitkanen to the start-finish line, 39.980, and put Pitkanen back to the second place spot quite handily. And our second 225-mile run of the day, this one clocking in at 0.94. Now, Kevin Lovegren for Ocala GP. Lovegren on the outside, currently qualified 10th on the day with a 223.924. He would need to gain about 0.25 of a mile an hour if he wants to make it into the top 9 this afternoon. Lap 1 for Lovegren, a 40.125. Already, we're looking at quicker than his best times from his last run, which was a .144. Lap number 2, 40.012, continues to get faster, threatening the 39-second bracket. The track temp has dipped back down to 90 degrees Fahrenheit, allowing for peak running conditions right now. Lap 3, 40.008. Can Lovegren score a 39-second time on his final run? He's gunning for it. Lovegren coming on down to the start-finish line. And he doesn't get it, 40.056, and that'll do it. Not able to get that final run in, but it's a good run nonetheless. A run that he can be very proud of. Kevin Lovegren, third on the day, 224.718 miles an hour. Barnicow now on the bubble spot as a result. Qualifying ninth, 224.365 miles an hour. Made it into the Indy 500 last year. Trying to see if he can get into it again this year. Oh, but he catches the wall a bit, and could that do it? Barnicow again with a slap to the outside wall, just shy of turn 4, but it does look like he's been able to keep it out of the fence and keep the fight going. 40.275 after a 3.42. Not looking good for Barnicow here. He's into the fence and comes off the wall. And at this point, this is looking like a botched run for Rob Barnicow. He's going to have to come on down. Andrew Aiken has just withdrawn his request for another hit, so I think he's got something planned in mind here. And sure enough, another 40.324. Lap 2 was invalidated, and he's hit the wall again. So Barnicow can be forced to the pit road, and Amon Lal taken back to the racetrack. Lal right now qualified 8th. Second to last spot in the grid, 32nd overall, stands at 224.396 miles an hour for Velocity Online Racing. And Lal on that first lap, and we'll see what he's able to do with it as he makes his way down the front straightaway. Lap 1, 40.153. Not a bad opener. Lal puts down his quickest time of the day, 7th fastest single lap on the boards, a 40.031. So Lal starting to threaten that 39-second bracket. Amon Lal continues to improve. 40.016. Could he get a 40-second time or a 39-second time here at the line? No! 1 thou quicker than the last lap and 15th thou off the mark. But hey, that is still a fantastic run. Lewis Woodall bumped out as Lal is qualified 5th. So Monlaw down pit road, and to his right, Lewis Woodall immediately back to the racetrack, wanted to try and bump his way back in. Matthias Zico Marcamini, after putting down that stellar run for IRR Argentina, not looking to be so secure now as he sits on the bump spot with a 224.197 mile an hour run. That is a good 0.2 to 0.3 of a mile off of Matt Molnar up in 8th. So I would imagine Marcamini eager to get back out on track to gain some insurance. So Lewis Woodall. Oh boy. Well, something happened to Woodall. That car very slow already. You look away for 2 seconds, and this is what happens. This is on the front straightaway. Coming off of 4. What happened here? Huh? Yeah, I don't know. Car just slowed. I thought he hit the wall on the way in for a hot second. Well, Lewis Woodall going to need another attempt. Marshall Stanley back onto the track. Stanley right now qualified 4th, and he's just trying to see if he can get up another row. Coming back around for Stanley, lap 1 of the cards. It was a 40.106. Almost a 1/10 of a second slower than his quickest time of the day. You see the back end of the car kind of moving around a little bit as he came off of 4 that time. Though the time shows significant improvement, 40.012. That is his new fastest time of the day, putting him to 4th of the single lap charts. So half of the qualifying in the books, and for lap number 3, is it a 39? Yes, it is, by 6 thousandths of a second. Goes to 3rd on the charts. 39.994 for Marshall Stanley. So what could be his final lap, and keep in mind, this could be his final attempt in qualifying in general. We've only got one more time slot left after this. $39.997. And that'll put Marshall Stanley up to 3rd. So he gets his objective done and bumps up a row. And now Rob Barnicow, after striking the wall twice on his last qualifying run, going to now make a run at it and try to see if he can break into the top 9. Matthias Ezekiel Marcomini on the bubble for IRR Argentina. Speed to beat for Barnicow, 224.197 miles an hour. Oh boy, bit of a flash there for a moment for Barnicow. That's not what you want to see in the middle of what could be your last attempt on the day. Especially Stanley has just picked up the final time slot. And it's going to be a 39.992 for Barnicow. New third quickest time on the day. For a lot of drivers, these are their final runs that they're going to have before this session draws to a close. And again, we see Barnicow having a few of those connection problems as he struggles to keep the car underneath him, almost gets into the turn 3 wall. A 40.011 for lap number 3. This one coming to the end of lap number 4. And at the stripe, going to be a 40.009. Marcomini is out. Barnicow into third. Matthias Ezekiel Marcomini sitting 7th place right now, making his way out to the racetrack. 7th, mind you, on the single lap charts. Right now sitting 10th overall. Needs to improve by almost a full 0.3 mile an hour if he wants to get in. Now, that's definitely doable with this track, but we'll have to see if he's able to get the job done. 40.115 for lap number 1. Marcomini, all on the line. He currently sits to the outside looking in. 39.990, significantly quicker than his lap 1, but could that opening lap bog him down enough that he misses out on the fast 9? Right now, the driver on the bubble, Matt Molnar. 224.438 miles an hour. And critically right now, Molnar has another run in him, 2 cars down the line. Down to the stripe. 39.945. Quicker still. Second place run for Marcamini on the overall time charts. And still a fast time for a 39.951, and that will do it. Marcamini into the show, sitting third on the boards. So Marcamini, as it stands, he is locked in to the show. He cannot be bumped out. Same story for Hans Pitkanen. They are both locked in. And same story for Rob Barnicow. So Stanley on back, the driver's in trouble, and potentially Andrew Aitken, because Aitken is going for another hit. I don't know why you would risk it. You don't need to. You're locked into the show. This is high risk, high reward for Andrew Aitken. He's trying to get insurance to make sure that he can try to maintain a 25th qualifying spot. But if this goes wrong, Aitken's out of the show. He's not going to make it in. Which would be massive for a driver that has been a series regular all season long to then miss out on the 500 because of a last-ditch gamble. I don't know about this one. 39.928 for lap one. The thing is, that car has looked steady all day long, so that's the sole thing he's got going for him here. 39.879. .928, by the way, for his opening lap as well, so Aitken's got some runs going underneath him. Lap 3. What does he have for it? Out of 4 to the start-finish line. 39.947. It's looking good. He's just got to get around this one final lap. And to the line, Aitken, 40.012. Aitken will be locked into the show. That much is confirmed, but is he still on top? Yes, he is. 225.331 miles an hour. Molnar bumped out, but critically, Molnar on deck. And Molnar's got to go, or he's not going to get his chance. And he's going to miss it. Matt Molnar misses his opportunity. And if that's going to allow for Lewis Woodall now to get another run going. So Molnar, a driver that has been a long-time contender in the Classic IndyCar Series and the Indy 500, will not make the show because he missed his final call. Molnar. Sorry, make that Lewis Woodall. Coming around turn numbers 1 and 2, or 3 and 4 as he heads to the front straightaway. Lewis Woodall, the only other driver right now that is not qualified in. He needs to beat 224.479 miles an hour set by Adam Eckert if he wants a chance. Eckert does not have an opportunity to have another run going. Lewis Woodall's second lap, a 40.118. And for lap 3, 40.112. So he's not the quickest car on the day, but he is certainly consistent. All 3 lap times so far within 7 thousandths. And final lap, a 40.142. Is he in? He is not. He didn't make it. Lewis Woodall, 224.323 miles an hour. And after a valiant effort on bump day and crashed on pole day, Lewis Woodall watches the Indy 500 from the sidelines. And Matt Molnar looking like he has actually managed to get another attempt at a run in here, so he will be the last car coming up here. Kevin Lovegren, the second to last car. .093 for lap 1. It was a 39.979 for lap 2 for Lovegren. 40.006 for lap 3. And Lovegren trying to see if he can race his way into the show. 224.438 miles an hour to beat. That 39-second time could clinch it. 40 seconds, almost dead on for Lovgren. At the line, he is into fourth. Matt Molnar officially pushed out, but he is back on track and is trying to see if he can race his way in. He is the final car trying to qualify for the Indy 500. Adam Eckert sits on the bubble spot. Right now, only one iconic motorsports driver can make it in, and Molnar's got to take out his teammate if he wants into the show. Again, 224.479 to beat. .079 for lap number 1. Time has officially expired in bump day qualifying. Matt Molnar, the final car. Only 9 can make it in. We know already Lewis Woodall is confirmed out. The question is, who will the other driver be? Will it be Adam Eckert or his teammate Matt Molnar? Oh, I don't think it's going to be Molnar. Second quickest time of the afternoon, a 39.931. Gunning hard, trying to see if he can make it back into the Indy 500. He competed in it last year. Can he do so again? Working lap 3. .962. Still a quick lap. Eckert's going to be looking nervous, and I don't think he's going to be able to have a run going. Eckert is still charging hard down the stretch into 3. Coming back around into 4. And looking for the line. Does Matt Molnar make the show? To the stripe, this time by 39.971. Adam Eckert is out. Molnar is in. And with that, bump day qualifying draws to a close in dramatic fashion. We've been through the top 4. And now for the final runs here coming on up, Andrew Aitken holding on to the number 1 qualifying spot. Hans Pinkinen down in second. Matthias Zico Marcamini in third. Kevin Lovgren fourth. He will start all the way back in 28th. 29th holding Robert Barnicow. Sorry, that's 30th holding Robert Barnicow. It's Matthias Marcamini in 4th, Lovgren in 5th. And then for the last row of the Indy 500, it's going to be Marshall Stanley, Amon Lal, and Christian McCrelly. Holy cow, what a drive that we had here this afternoon, and a stellar outing. No doubt a lot of drivers are looking forward to what this race is going to be coming up for here on Bump Day. A thrilling 3-hour qualifying session, though, will take us to the end of racing action here this afternoon. When we go racing once again, it is, of course, going to be later tonight with the Blaze Battles ARCA Series at Homestead Miami Speedway for their final race of the season. The High Tide Race League Premier Series is out at the Charlotte Motor Speedway on Monday, with the Mid-Atlantic Race Series taken to Phoenix. PSR will kick off more action at the Auto Club Speedway. And speaking of which, that PSR race, not one you are going to want to miss here this afternoon. It comes down to Wednesday night. One race at Auto Club Speedway to decide 3 different championships. Currently a 3-way fight to decide best of the rest. Will Acosta hold on to a 9-point lead over Mike Toomer and Zach Williams? What about Regan Boog Motorsports? Can they hold off Whataback Racing for the team championship? And finally, there will be battle for the year-long playoff title. Will it be Regan? Will it be Hawley? Will it be Lowendick, or will it be Kalen? One way to find out. And that's tuned in on Wednesday night's Green Flight TV for the season finale of the Outlet Motorsports Truck Series. It is a championship finale you are not going to want to miss. We'll see you all next time when we go racing next week. Indy 500 weekend is coming up, and we'll see you once again at Gasoline Alley on Sunday afternoon.